Here we are once again getting ready for a map here at the Rainbow Six NAL. Our final map of the day is going to be Space Station Gaming taking on Parabellum. Doe and Jesse Jacob here with you to get into that one. And again, we want to take a look at the standings again, because the closer we get to the end of the stage, the more every one of these maps becomes vital, right? And this is a very important one. As you can see, Dark Zero lost earlier today. That helps Space Station Gaming a little bit. That said, Beast Coast won today. That hurts Space Station Gaming a little bit. Suffice to say, the battle for that fourth spot, especially for the major, is still really, really open.
Yeah, because so many of the top teams won today, it does make SSG being in sixth look really bad, but only for the moment, because this absolutely could change. There's no way that SSG can drop any lower than sixth place right now. However, there is the chance Parabellum, with a loss, are getting knocked out today. We've already seen the mathematical elimination of Mirage, Sonics, and TSM. Parabellum could well follow. Not a chance for any teams to qualify based on results today, but if SSG were to defeat Parabellum, whether in regulation or in overtime, that would knock PB out of the running for Charlotte.
Astralis, Exet, Beast Coast. Last stage, the three names that took up the bottom of the leaderboard in stage 3, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Now all of them sitting in the top 4 currently.
What are the odds, man?
As we all expected, of course.
It's been a great stage for sure. The results have been unexpected. It's been fun to see teams come up like this new look X-Set roster and all that kind of stuff. But Space Station is kind of one of those teams that's been just grinding on, you know? It's a style that's pretty safe, pretty methodical. They've moved on past the Canadian days at this point. I feel like they found kind of their own identity again. They've been playing well, but they really need to finish out strong if they want to make it.
Yeah, I mean, SSG came off to a really hot start. They won both their games in week 1 very handedly over Xset and Mirage. Then they beat Oxygen, and everybody was like, okay, this just solidified Space Station as the top team in North America, because they beat the only other team that was really in contention for that title. And now, obviously, they still have a game to play today, but they are quite low on that leaderboard. Dark Zero even still ahead of them, who they will be playing on that final Playday. And so, yeah, SSG kind of knocked down off their high horse. That loss last Playday against Beast Coast was really rough for them as far as the standings are concerned.
Bro, I called an upset. I knew one upset was happening in 3 games back-to-back that looked like it was going to be bad, and it happened to be Beast Coast beating Space Station. So, good job, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Beast Coast making this late run, too, is starting to get pretty exciting. Like,
if anything, it's just getting scary for teams like TSM trying to crack into that running. Beast Coast, arguably, I mean, not arguably, this is the single greatest stage they've ever had so far. The most wins they've had in one stage. They're doing fantastic, and I think the fact that they might have a play style that for some people is risky and reckless is working out for them. But on Space Station's side, you need an answer, and you need one quick. So if you can get a win over a team that has been struggling this stage, that wasn't expected to pop off because they're the new guys coming up from Challenger League, that's going to be a really, really big boost towards those end-of-stage results, and hopefully you can qualify for the major off the back of a win today.
Yeah, Parabellum has been looking solid, but Space Station Gaming, they do come into this one favored, I think is pretty easy to say. Let's take a closer look at Space Station as they get ready to go over in the arena in Vegas. There's the roster on your screen right there. And this team, again, when you look at them, when you think about Space Station, the word methodical, I think, is what comes to mind.
Yeah, I think SSG have kind of always been that standard top team in North America who have a certain way of doing things, but that doesn't mean that they can't kind of shake it up and get a little surprising. We saw that against OXG. Some of their kind of mid-round adaptations, some last-second individual decisions really went their way. So I thought that was huge for them. That said, I think also sometimes they can be caught off guard a little bit by those same surprising plays. It felt like in the games that they've lost so far this stage, it was those kind of shocking defenses where players and teams do things that they don't really expect that was really starting to take advantage of them. Astralis going for that impact Oryx double flank on security was huge. Beast Coast doing the double flank up server stairs to end out bank against them. Like, these are kind of those little plays that like shouldn't be happening. You don't expect this from a top team, but that's exactly what makes them good.
To be fair, they also did a good job of reading into Newers when he was picking up in that game against OXG. They took their time, and they can play surprising, even as sometimes if they get surprised, they don't really have like a method of bouncing back from something like that. We talked about it in that Oxygen game where they found pocket strategies, ways to work into sight when they used aggression unexpected, sometimes unbecoming of a team like SSG, but they still used those kinds of strats extremely effectively whenever it comes out against them. So I like the fact that they're versatile as they are. You never can really count this team out. Remember back when every single player for the Sweden major had like 5 or something clutches, and it feels like everyone individually is usually pretty locked in. I still think that SSG remains. The fact that they're 6th on the standings right now isn't really that big of a concern. Just the little amount of games they have left in this stage is probably the more concerning factor.
You know, I think it was earlier in the day we talked about XSET being a team that sort of would rise to the level of their opponents from time to time. It feels like Space Station Gaming is a team that kind of like meets the level of their opponents too, and sometimes not in the best way, because correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like they've played the most close series throughout the stage, and that's something that you want to kind of look at too, is that you're playing close series against top teams, great. Playing close series against bottom teams, not as good. Do you feel like there is a little bit of mirroring going on sometimes?
I can see that. Space Station Gaming over their last 4 matches have had either 7-5s or overtime for all of them.
Yeah.
First week was really dominant, but other than that, yeah, they definitely have been kind of playing down perhaps some of those weaker opponents, such as Beast Coast. So definitely don't want to see that against the Parabellum.
It's only a 39-30 run differential currently for Space Station, which would have been nice if it was against like the expected top 4 that they have, in the upper echelon of NA. But it's only a +9 right now, so I still think that they can do better.
It's fairly tight. That's right. Let's take a look at their opponents on the other side of the arena as Space Station gets ready to go here. It is going to be Parabellum, the team, of course, new to the NAL this particular stage here. Well, new again, I suppose. But they are back once again, and they're doing okay. They're doing well, but it feels like if there's any team that's going to end up as a team that's in the bottom 5, but still a team to watch going to the next stage, Parabellum could fill that role.
Yeah, Parabellum's just not a team that we talk about very often. We've looked at Wimpy and thought, hey, new player, if only for one stage, let's see how he does. Hey, Creators is on here. But we've always looked at this Parabellum squad as what do you do without Spirits? And right now, if they were just coming up from Challenger League and they had that full 5-stack that won them relegations, we'd be looking at a much different scenario. But for the moment, we're looking at a team now that even though they're not afraid to like get swifty, they're never stagnant, they're always mobile, it still seems like there's somewhere along the way their plan can fall off pretty easily. It's not even necessarily the fault of one particular player. Sometimes it just feels as though they don't click at the same high level that we figured that they would when they won relegation so dominantly.
3-game losing streak from Parabellum right now coming into Playday number 7. And I think if they want to break that, they kind of have to emulate what we saw working for Beast Coast and for Astralis, playing some of those kind of aggressive, kind of surprising defenses where you can really get under SSG's skin and kind of surprise them on the roam clear. I think Wimpy's got to be a big part of that, and I think Penguin following him up has to be a big part of that as well. Wimpy's been a guy that we've seen obviously be a little bit inconsistent throughout this stage. He's had some amazing games. He's been really, really
when he's on, yeah.
He can be crazy, but there have also been moments where I felt like he's kind of fumbled the ball, and so I really want to see him on these roams, working with the rest of his team to maybe go for some spicy flanks and upset some of the SSG roam clear.
Yeah, that's right. We've got some stats to take a look at with Parabellum as well. And these are kind of an interesting thing to look at. The stage 1 timeouts is a stat that we haven't looked at a lot, but there is a story to be told there.
Yeah, I had to dig up these stats from our admin because these are not CGG stats, but I had noticed the Parabellum weren't calling a lot of tack timeouts. Against Oxygen, when they had lost 5 rounds in a row to lose the game, they didn't call a tack timeout there. They lost 5 in a row as well against Astralis. They did call a tack timeout there, but it wasn't effective for them. And so a lot of these rounds, like it seems like things start to slip away, and they never seem to call one of those tacks. Obviously, we've had 6 games so far from every player here, because this is prior to the Playday starting. Mirage has used all of them. Most teams sitting in that 3 to 5 range. Parabellum only 1 tack timeout again against Astralis. And it does feel like sometimes they maybe are missing that adaptation. They don't have anyone standing behind them. They can still call tack timeouts. I believe the players have the ability to do so, as well as their coach VBM back in India across the world still has the ability to call that, but he just can't see the game. So I think maybe if they can have somebody behind them calling more of those tack timeouts, they might have a little bit more success in stopping some of those really railroaded games that get away from them and snowball. But so far, we just aren't seeing them take advantage of that utility.
I mean, you'd think, like, if Blaz's visa is sorted, why can't he just go over and stand behind the boys? Like,
that'd be
come on.
nice.
You might need a bit of a lifeline. But the thing with that number is, it would be fine if they'd only called 1 tack timeout if they had only lost, like, 1 game, or if they were at the very top. Because if you don't have to use it, then you don't have to use it. But they've decided they don't need to, and there's still something going wrong. I like the stat. Honestly, I did notice that times where they felt like they needed a reset just never really seemed to come up very often.
Well, here is our map bans. I wonder too a little bit too if that remote coaching is a big part of it. As I think back across the years of esports I've seen, I don't think I've ever seen a remote coaching situation work out well. And I'm not saying it can't, I'm just saying it's very difficult to make it happen. But let's take a look at the maps.
I'm sure VBM has a big hand in these map bans. That said, nothing too out of the ordinary from Parabellum so far. A couple of their perma bans. Not that they've banned out Clubhouse and Oregon in every single game, but it seems like if their opponents are unwilling, these are always 2 to go. SSG, on the other hand, banning out Villa. That's one that Parabellum have shown to be pretty decent on recently. Chalet, one as well that Parabellum have historically been very strong on. That said, XSET really did stop that fire.
True.
A couple of play days ago when Parabellum got destroyed there. Bank, another one that seems to be a permaban from Parabellum. So these first couple very obvious and likely predicted by Lycan and the rest of the boys on Space Station. Border, kind of an interesting one from SSG. Not one they ban a ton, but they did just lose it last play day to Beast Coast, so probably best to get that off the table.
Yeah, it's true, and there aren't a whole bunch of other options for Parabellum to go to here. They'd much rather not have Theme Park on the board. We've seen that played actually more in the NAL so far than I would have anticipated. But now Space Station, they hold the cards now between a couple different options. Do they go back to Kafe, which we did see Space Station claim a win on for OXG, or do we try something else out? And for Space Station, it's the power is quite literally in the palm of their hands. Do we go to Kafe or do we go to Skyscraper? And it's not Sky. So Space Station's bans looking like a combination of what they know Parabellum is good at and then just manipulating it down all the way to Kafe, which again, they've already won on, and Parabellum themselves just lost to OXG last week.
I'm very excited for this game because although they did lose to OXG,
it was overtime.
It was overtime, 8-6, and it's Oxygen, right? We just see Oxygen demolish almost every single team in this league. So for Parabellum to do so well against OXG on this map gives me hope that this is actually going to be a really high-level matchup. Parabellum surprised the last Playday with a big near upset over a top team. They could do it again today.
Could definitely be a close one with Space Station involved. It almost certainly will be a close one, but it's going to be a good one either way. Time for predictions, though, and let's start with our casters. We've got Pengu and Intero over there waiting, just dying, sweating to tell us what they think. What's it going to be? What are the predictions?
Any team wins.
Well done.
One of them wins, one of them loses. That's my prediction.
That's
what
lame.
do you think?
Come on, tell us what team is going to win.
Pengu, come on.
All right,
Man.
listen
You can't,
up, listen
Pengu,
up. I'll
you
break
have
it down.
tried to back out of this so many times this stage already. We need to create some sort of hot sauce punishment or something when Pengu tries to tell us he's not going to choose.
All right, the winner is SSG!
All right.
But
All right, sure.
it's a 7-5. It's close.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're actually
okay.
calling the numbers just like I called the OXG
Because
songs.
you called it, so now I'm calling it.
Jesse said something very smarmy while we were coming back to the desk. He's like, the moment that they won 7-5, Parker stood up and was like, "You did it."
That's true, in that voice.
And I want you to know that I currently on the bottom of your screen have a 56% victory, and Jesse is 59%.
Nobody
So
asked.
3%
below me.
separate us. When
You're bragging about
he never
losing.
gets
Wow.
anything right.
No, Parker.
I'm not that much worse off than you are.
Parker, you had like a 40% win rate, and then Jay-Z Wills came in here and boosted you through the roof.
I didn't
Okay?
even guess for half of those.
remember.
That was
Carried by Jay-Z Wills.
What? I wasn't even guessing for half of those. They were literally other people choosing for me. Anyway, I agree with Nick. I think that Space Station is going to win as well. I think Parabellum's a fine team. This is a do or die match for them. They lose, their major shot is basically gone as well. So Parabellum's going to be fighting for every inch they can have. But consistency has been Parabellum's biggest issue.
I just dropped my pen. I'll get it later.
Well,
Don't worry, I'll
that's a
get
bad
it later.
omen right there, I feel like.
Nick, it's bad form to interrupt your co-caster when he's speaking. Unbelievable.
Sorry.
Well, we'll give you a second to grab your pen because we have to find out what the analysts have to say. It's a pen. It's on the floor. What am I?
Pick it up, Nick.
Come on.
Do it. He's
So
picking
what's
it
it
up
going
right
to
now.
be? Jesse, you can go first.
Well, I want to get a little spicy with it because in case you couldn't tell from the jean jacket and also the Canada Nationals Rainbow Six hoodie, I am a bit of a Canadian myself, and Parabellum, the org hailing from the great nation up north, they're a team that I really like, and obviously, you know, they're fan favorites, and that doesn't inherently make them good picks necessarily, especially against SSG, but they're going back to a map that they've seen Space Station play in the past, and also a map that they've really showcased they can win on, or at least get very close against even the best teams of Kafe. They showed earlier in the stage that they're very good at doing that VOD review, figuring out their opponents in their match against the Sonics on Chalet earlier this year. So Let's do it. Let's go for Parabellum in this
Wow.
one. The good old Canadian
He wants the
boys
spice. All
right.
bringing it home.
He wants it. He's also biased. That's the only reason he picked it.
Mad bias.
He literally just admitted it, and that's the only reason he's going for it.
No, I think there's good reason there as well. I think there's logic
No.
mixed in with
It's,
the bias.
it's just the bias.
Break
nice
out the
mingling.
birthday poutine. It's time to predict Parabellum. Jacob, what do you think?
I'll keep giving it to Space Station, I think, in spite of having a bit of a hiccup in that OXG game. The nice thing they had from that game was the mental reset after 3 rounds, which they're not going to have here unless for some reason we have another crazy freak rehost situation. But I'll still give it to them. That game against OXG did look very solid in spite of OXG still kind of looking like the better team overall. If SSG go on a streak, which I think against a Parabellum team they do because Parabellum are notorious for slow starts, then they might win before Parabellum has the chance to come back. So I'll give it to Space Station.
All right, 4 for Space Station, 3 rather for Space Station, 1 for Parabellum, and just the coin to decide. So we'll do it quick. It's going to be Space Station heads. It's going to be tails Parabellum. The 1884 New Orleans Mint silver dollar says. Oh, it says heads. Goes with Space Station. There you have it, folks. The coin has spoken. Or I have spoken for the coin. You get the idea.
There you
get
go.
the idea. But that's it. That's our predictions. Now you have a community poll to mull over. Let's get that on the screen so you can think about that a little bit as we get into the game. The question is, Wimpy or Skies, who will get more kills today? That's the question. Think about it. We are going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, the final match of the day, it's going to be epic. It's going to be Space Station Gaming taking on Parabellum, a battle, again, a fight for a chance to go to the major. Who takes it? We'll find out when we come back.
Put the place up, yeah, we know what we made of. Can't get enough of you, boo, I'm a chaser. Face up, now I feel a little major. Blink of an eye, ego, I'm a taker, shaker. Yeah, she was a born shaker, she shake me out that door to no place. Damn, why you doing all that? Thought you was my wife, but you stabbed me in the back. Sounding like a rose when we came out there, we settled facts like Da Vinci. I'm breaking codes and breaking backs. Come on, get your ass up if you're slipping. With another smile like it was the last Christmas. Hey.
Well, Space Station and Parabellum will collide in our very final matchup of today here on our 7th Playday of the North American League. I'm Intero. I'm joined by Pengu. And both of these teams are still in the running for the Charlotte Major. Now, the likelihood of Parabellum making it,
Slim.
very, very small.
That
Doki
is-
sized, some would
Oh,
say.
no.
For SSG, though, they are presently sitting on the outside looking in. Parabellum starts off this matchup in 7th place with 7 points.
Yep.
SSG, not much farther ahead of them in 6th place, but 4 points up over them. There's still 9 points remaining for Parabellum. Their ceiling is 16 points, which would put them in 3rd place right now. But of course, that is for the remaining 3 play days. Parabellum's odds are not great, but if they're going to make an outside run for the Charlotte Major and pick up some very savory, tasty SI points in the process, this is where it begins. We go to Kafe. Nick, set the expectations for us in this matchup.
Alright, so both of these teams of SSG and Parabellum have played this map before. Both of those games happened against OXG. SSG they won 7-5, whereas PP they lost 6-8. But what that means is that both teams are very capable, both against OXG, who's a top 2 team, but also on a map like Kafe. So I think we're in for a close banger game. As I said, I'm expecting 7-5 SSG, but I really do think this could go either way.
Thatcher and Flores, the first 2 operators banned out on attack. SSG starting on defense. Honestly, consistency was what was talked about on the desk. We talked about it briefly in our predictions, Nick, where consistency is really the one thing that both of these teams, frankly, need to work on. Space Station have been consistent domestically, but have struggled to break out of the groups/quarterfinals internationally. With how competitive the North American League has been, Space Station have struggled domestically now as well. They entered the day, as I said, in 6th place. That is quite a poor standing for a squad that is so used to drinking from the goblet of power at the top.
Goblet of power.
That's what I'm going to call it.
I think one thing to note, though, is that the NAL this time around is arguably the most competitive it's ever been, dare I say it. There are, like, every single team is so capable. We see teams that are called the rejects of Beast Coast, which is more like the misfits, if anything, but even they are performing very well. Exit, a team that some people laughed at when they came in with Bodega from Brazil. Like, oh, where are they gonna place? Well, funny enough, they're up near the top. Astralis, is one coach and one player change going to make any difference whatsoever? Well, actually, yes. So, while SSG has struggled more than they have normally in a domestic setting, it has been a much more competitive NAL across the board, which I think means if you make it to the major in May in Charlotte, you're probably going to be in a better position to make it further if you're North America than ever before, because you're very well versed, very well practiced going into an international event.
Well, look at this lineup from Parabellum. This thing's going to get real nasty. Jackal, Blitz, and a Lion. If they think that Space Station are taking a little bit too long on this setup, you can be into the bomb site very quickly. It is the bottom floor bomb site, first floor, as you want to call it. I know you and I have almost come to blows trying to figure out if it is a basement or a first floor.
I noted basement in my notes. I'll correct that right now.
It is a kitchen.
Yeah.
Defense.
It is a kitchen defense. It's going to be a roam clear. You know, the Jackal, the Blitz are great for this, although Penguin wants to get into the library here of things where Jackal's up top on creators. The Jammers is going to make that difficult for them. Almost like the good old Clubhouse SSG roam where you got Jammers on all the doorways and whatnot with 2 roamers. Similar story here from the side of SSG. We have the dining hatch opened up, so that's the fallback point if the staircases get cut off from the rotation. The Lion, of course, enables the Blitz to rush on in, and there you go. He's very quick, and every single member of SSG, they run away very swiftly because they want none of that.
Oh, and he's in hot pursuit of Rampy as he manages to get away with his life still intact. The pistol of Blitz not doing as much damage as they'd hoped for. They just roamed cleared the entire second floor in a matter of seconds, and all it took was a single Blitz and a single EE1D charge. Half of the round now expired. You can see from above the setup that SSG has. 2 players inside of the physical bomb sites, one playing inside a coat check, one inside a bakery, and then I believe the other was over inside a VIP last I saw.
Yeah, we do have Hot and Cold at a C4 ready to go. Hasn't tossed it just yet. And of course, False has one as well. So you can try and chance the verticality. Here we see Hot and Cold looking to throw it. Wait for the signal off the sledgehammer. Try and figure out what's his path going to be. Will he walk towards me or away? Will my C4 strike true or not? Here we go. C4 gets tossed. It gets popped. It does no damage, which means, well, for a bit longer, Eska will stay alive.
The pathing of your sledge when you take out the floorboards and a buck as well, which is on the board for Parabellum, means that you really got to be a little bit careful with where you go. Look at this, a Blitz heading on in. Wimpy's the first to fall. SSG gets kill number 1. There's 4 more for them. The Blitz is just going to continue to charge in. They see Fultz. Oh no, Fultz. Not great, but Kool-Aid! An unfortunate team kill. He redeems himself by taking down Skies. Fultz is gone as well. Space Station with 3, Parabellum with 3. 30 seconds left. There goes the can opener, the secondary hard breach. Because that's the only hard breach available. Parabellum going instead for fragging operators, not for full-blown utility. Final 3 players from Space Station in the back of the bomb site, and they will watch for an entry into the front of kitchen. They suspect there might be one upstairs. That's where Rampy's sights are. Kool-Aid has the pings, and he'll go for a plant. You have to cover if you're Parabellum. They lose Eska, so it's all on the shoulders of creators, but down goes the planter of Kool-Aid. SSG managed to get in there with their 3 players and shut down the diffuser in hand, and SSG takes round 1.
It is a very unfortunate team kill from the side of Parabellum. They played it quite smart. Blitz went to bottom red stairs, blinded Force in the side of Harry Potter, which is below the staircase, and then they baited out SSG to swing to try and cover Force, and it looked really well set up from Parabellum, baiting 2 players, 2 kills in one single isolated member, but unfortunately, it was a team kill that came through instead. It was a 1-for-1 trade, made that a 2-for-1 trade, but they evened back the numbers 3 against 3. And without the blitz, it's hard to get into the bomb site. You lose a gun on the plant, and eventually SSG, they overrun you. That's the basement done and dusted. I should have said the first floor done and dusted. The kitchen is off the menu now from the side of SSG, and they will move up just 1 floor to reading instead. But that means, just like we just saw in Border in that previous game between Sonics and OXG, it's all about the verticality. You want to hold the top floor so that the side is below you, use the vertical holes, extend out on the map, set problems for the attackers to deal with, and that's what SSG does really, really well. They use the mute jammers to slow down the entries, to deny information. Hatch opened up signifies that a pre-play C4, a pre-ripped C4 rather, from Skies and Hot and Cold, both of them, to try and get a free pick. Let's see if it plays out.
I like the more traditional lineup from Parabellum. It was an interesting experiment, and
They got a drone.
yeah, you got a drone. Oh no, not another C4. Neither connect. That's 2 pieces of explosive utility from both Skies and Hot and Cold, tossed out through Red Hatch. None do a single point of damage. Okay, I stand corrected. Eska has probably had 2 damage done to him.
Very tiny amounts there. It was a good job from Kool-Aid, by the way. He threw a drone up to the roof to see if the hatches were opened up, and arguably saved his entire team from those double C4s. So good job, Kool-Aid. Doing drone work, which doesn't go on the scoreboard, but it goes a very long way if you recognize the value that it might bring your team.
Well, SSG can spread out all over this entire map, but it becomes incumbent upon Parabellum to figure out where they are. I say this because on Kafe, it is often so common that you are holding more than a single floor, other than that previous round where the blitz scared everybody away. This reading defense right now, heavily focused on the top floor, sitting in cocktail, holding back bar, and if you are SSG, just gonna hang on. 90 seconds gone. Hot and Cold was down below. Cheeky peek on that doorway to service, but there's nobody there. And now SSG fall off of the top floor. Pretty good timing, I would say, for this soft cap for them to roam.
Yeah. Well,
not all of them, though.
Rampy's
still
still
up top.
sticking around. Minute 20. With the flashbang, surely, and the repel has to drop as well. I actually want to say that if you get to this position on the attacking side with a minute and 10 to go, as Parabellum does, you've actually won the roam clear. If this is like a sub 50 seconds, I would argue defenders win the roam instead. So Parabellum did a really good job at clearing out the top floor very quickly, but also note, Hot and Cold has a spare mute jammer in his pocket, and there was no mute jammer in the bathroom wall up top, which then allowed Parabellum to make really quick work with a single breach from Kool-Aid on the Hibana. So that one mute jammer might cost you 20 seconds, and those 20 seconds might lose you the round because the vertical goes out, the cover will go through, you walk in from dining or from a pillar, and you just stop planting.
Well, speaking of in the bomb site, that's exactly where Penguin is. The whole server alive until Bosco falls. Kool-Aid goes down as well. The kill feed starting to light up, and Penguin's on the hunt. Wimpy goes down, and it's a nice cross from Penguin. But he's slaughtered inside of Laundry. They're cleaning each other up quite effectively, leaving Eska and Creators in a 2v1 with Rampy to retake. He does so, making a ton of noise. Diffuser going down. He'll have to get through 90 and towards the diffuser. He's got a couple angles to do that. One path as well through Train. He doesn't have the location of both players. Spotted on drone by Pillars. Default cam still up, but no intelligent information for him. Inside of the bomb site now with the diffuser not too far away. Rampy softened up. He's playing a game of keep away, and Eska manages to dart around the banister a little bit better. First round went to Spacestation, but Parabellum tie it up after round 2.
I am curious if Parabellum intended to have the diffuser on Kool-Aid that round or not, because typically you would just see them walking through pillar door like Penguin did and then plant, which they could have easily done, but diffuser was on like white stairs on the laundry hatch because Kool-Aid got 2 kills with it, then he lost it, then creators got the diffuser instead, and they planted dining of all areas. So not entirely sure what happened from Parabellum, but they made it work. Aggressive play, follow-up, trades back and forth, an absolute mess of a kill feed top right of the screen, leaving Rampy last man standing, who unfortunately had to rip down a barricade to make it back toward the bomb site. And Jaeger, with no C4s, with no real information, can't do a whole lot in that situation. 1-1, and we're not gonna see a mining defense. Yes, we are going through the motions here. We saw reading before, now it's mining and dining. Something that North America really loves to play more than any other region really is this particular bomb site on Kafe.
Well said.
You guys just, I'm not sure what it is. So in Europe, if mirror isn't available, normally we do not see mining. If mirror is open, then we usually see mining in Europe. So you guys just have this different way of approaching it where if reading isn't working or top floor isn't working, you have no issues going to another tertiary bomb site, which is quite rare on most maps, to be honest. Sneaky beaky. Basement entry.
There's a team that knows how to use Mira effectively and likes to bring her in a lot of their strats. In North America, it is Spacestation.
Yes.
I like the Nook pick that's also coming out from Penguin. Once again, these operators able to be brought because of attacker repick, which means that during the prep phase, if you see something you don't like, you can change up what you're bringing as an attacker. The utility can change up. You see they don't have a lot of Jaegers or Wamais available, or have one or the other, or even an Arunian play. Guess what? Bring lots of grenades. There's nothing to stop you. In this particular case, Nook is seen as a niche pick more often than not, and this is exactly the path that you want a Nook to take. Get in through the bottom floor, or garage, or basement, or wherever, and do some damage. It's Wimpy to do some damage first, though. Down goes Fultz, the Wamai no more. The discs will remain, but the remaining Wamai discs, aka magnets, not available.
No, that they aren't. Now PP attacking from 2 fronts. We saw it. Penguin, basement, white stairs about to creep up. Rest of PP attacking up top. This is how you play the Nook. You cause a distraction, you go for a flank, you get a free pick for your team, and now you're in a great position. But what could have been an incredible triple kill gets shut down by Rampy.
And if anybody's going to be able to pull it off, it's Rampy himself. Still playing by back a cocktail, and he'll drop. His shoulder likely spotted from above, and there's some damage being done to him, but he manages to get away with his life intact. Parabellum on this top floor hold. They still have over a minute to go. They've got nice jaws clamped around the bomb site, but they have to translate it to that mining defense, as you said. For the defenders, no Mira available. Lack of intel as well. Look at both members from SSG on those default cams. Why? Because there's only one bulletproof that was brought. That's the only extra bit of intel available. The Razor Blooms from Hot and Cold's Thorn will act as information the moment that they get triggered based on proximity. They'll know that one of the Parabellum players is nearby.
But it's not so simple like a reading attack. You can't just drop down pillar, walk in through side door. You gotta take full reading control, drone the bottom right stairs, figure out if pillar is clear, where are the last defenders, and then walk on in and take the gunfight. So confrontation here from PP, SSG will challenge. It comes down to those 1v1s.
And there's a concussion to go on in, but none that will find a target. A proximity-based concussion will tell you if somebody's there laying in wait. They are not. Creators has the attention of a player from SSG. A grenade goes down, but it's Rampy. It appears to scoot away. That leaves Hot and Cold sitting on a bomb chassis. Nicely played as both players from Parabellum cross. That leaves Creators to grab the diffuser and get the plant down, but guess what? It's you versus 2 players from SSG, and you won't be able to bait out the kills. A hopeless endeavor as the time strikes at 0. And it's a back-and-forth contest that gives SSG another lead.
It is. And you said earlier, Parker, if one team is great at using those mirror windows, it's SSG. And while mirror is banned right now, I think the aspect of how good SSG can be with mirror speaks to what they're really good at in general, which is setting up the defensive side and then playing really well around it. They've done it for every single bomb site so far that we've seen on Kafe, where they set up an early problem and then they have a trick, right? They did the double C4 from the top floor hatches the second round. On the first round, it was that basement defense roam and reading with the mute jammers. They always have that extra trick up their sleeve, and SSG also have arguably the most clutch roster when it comes to actually clutching out individual rounds. So that's kind of what they got going for them. Parabellum on the other side, they bring one-off, niche, high pace, high risk, gameplay. When Parabellum played Chalet against Sonics a few play days ago, they played this weird glash bomb side rush strat, and it worked amazingly. SK had to win like a 1 versus 3 post-plan clutch, but the strategical aspect of both of these teams is some of the highest in the NAL, I would argue, even though they play two very different styles of strategy. They're both so good at it. Basement again. Sorry, first floor again. Kitchen again.
Thank you.
It's going to be so hard to fix this, actually.
Make sure that you are attesting, or make sure that you are
Kitchen.
you are ascribing the correct floor, young man.
Yes. I will blame Fabian for this, because he was my captain, and he said basement like I do. So it's Fabian's fault.
Okay.
First floor, kitchen, roam clear from PB, similar-ish roam game from SSG. They got 3 guys. Hot and Cold was on the top floor, walking down the white stairs, excuse me. 1 person inside of library with the mute jammers, and then they have Rampy walking around the dining area as well. The hatch, I believe, is soft/open, so they can, it's soft but not opened up, so they can fall back there. They can walk down the brown stairs, they can walk down the white stairs, they can walk down the red stairs. You want to have as many options as possible. Wimpy up above can use vertical play to help try and catch these roamers. And the goal here from Parabellum is to try and get 1 kill or more before they fall back.
Fultz has proven his worth time and time again, but he gets flashed out of this position, holding a tight angle with a shotgun as is spotted. And will attempt to chunk away. Penguin gets a kill he wasn't anticipating, by the way. The intended target is now to fall in Fultz as Rampy punishes Kool-Aid, but still, Penguin gets 2 for the price of 1 and is cracked the round wide open for Parabellum.
Yep, and I will say the niche pick that we spoke about from Parabellum and the niche strats, that was the fuse from Kool-Aid. Now the fuse is dead, it's off the board, it will not be used this round, but they traded 2 for 1 instead. They got breaching charges on Wimpy, they got the hammer on Eska, they got no more grenades on Crater, so he becomes a pure on entry finger now instead, and they got Penguin on the Nomad. The one thing to note, no hard breach available. They have to go for a dining hatch drop with vertical play because they have no other real way in through the bomb side, and SSG as well. Besides this single toxic babe from Bosco on the smoke, they have no real way of stopping Parabellum from planting or pushing the site once they get there.
They got the hatch in front of them as well. We'll get sledged open. Nitro cell, is that the sound or was that just the breach next to it? Hard to tell them apart from time to time. No nitro cells available, so that answers our question. Try to gas off the drop into freezer as there's some small openings that have been created from those breaches as talked about by Wimpy. There's an adrenal surge to go out, give some staying power to Parabellum as well. Flashes will go in and Bosco blinded for a moment as he loses the shield but not his life on the ground, and this will be a fight that he has to win but he won't. Penguin picks up his 3rd kill, looking for more. There goes the shield to try and do some damage to the planter, but Penguin gets fouled by it eventually, but the diffuser goes down anyway. Space Station still trailing numbers, but Rampy has made this far more winnable than it was. As Parabellum heads for the hills, they'll sit upstairs and watch that diffuser again. They've opened up much of the floor, which gives them a window towards that diffuser. God, the Goyo fire lasts for so long enough for Rampy to engage with Eska and then fall. Skies to clutch, no kill to his name. He picks up 1 onto Wimpy. Still 2 players left, and he's only got 8 seconds to get to the diffuser. He'll do that as the grenade sails over to not collect its target. He's gonna stick, he'll stick. They know that it's doomed, and Parabellum picks up their 2nd as well. No team has won a single round back-to-back, so we are dead even through 4 rounds.
As I think most of us anticipated, it's going to be a very close game between SSG and Parabellum on Kafe. And Parker, do you mind having a bit of trivia here while we watch the replay?
Oh, God.
You said the Goyo fire lasts a long time.
Yes.
Do you know how long they last for?
20 seconds.
That is correct. You get a point.
Okay,
Good
thank
job.
you. What's your next question?
No, that's actually it.
Oh, it was a 1-question trivia game.
I thought I was going to get you with the single question, so since you got me, I have nothing left. I'll think of something next week, you know, and tomorrow, in fact. We cast again tomorrow.
You know, it's really good if you just don't want to do that. If you don't feel like introducing a question to me every single day, I'm okay with that.
So I care more about the well-being and interest of our viewers than you in this particular case. So I will actually make a tweet after this game, or maybe tomorrow morning, saying, do you guys want a daily trivia question?
Did it occur to you that I was conscious of the fact that the Goyo fire lasts for 20 seconds, and I was making a
20 seconds? No, it's 20 seconds. It's only...
Well, if it was 420 seconds, it'd be completely different. But anyway. Was it possible, Nick, that I wasn't saying, wow, I am figuring out at this present moment how long the shield, well, not shield anymore, the explosion
almost got yourself
and the
there.
fire last for? Old habits die hard. I've been casting Goya with a shield for years. Give me a break.
Yeah, basement.
Or was it more that I was making a statement being like, wow, these 20 seconds feel like a long time? Could it have been the latter?
You are correct, right? When you're in the server, you're not really worrying about the specific seconds of a gadget. You're standing there saying, okay, can I push? Can I push? No, I cannot push. The fire is still here. You're not going to think clear like, oh, 20 seconds I can push in. It's much more chaotic, of course, in the server. Okay, speaking of chaotic, Penguin, drop the hatch, walk into side.
He's just walking right in. This is a cocktail defense up on the top floor.
Oh, they don't
And look
see
at
him.
Penguin is there. They don't know he's there. They do not know he is there. He'll get blinded out, but guess what? There's a mystery guest.
Yep.
Right now, currently in the midst of your cocktail bar, and he sees one, gets off. No! Are you kidding me? How in God's name does that happen? What a jump scare that was for Fultz, but he gets the kill. An opportunity missed for Penguin, and that one's gonna sting.
Oh boy, high risk, high payoff, a high reward. That is what the name of the game is right there. He tried to trigger discipline to get more than one kill, but he doesn't get a single one. It's Kool-Aid instead, who now have to drop downstairs, and PB is set back in their plan.
I'm gobsmacked is what I am, and Space Station should have had no business taking out the Nuka Penguin, but guess what? Sometimes patience does not get rewarded. So an opportunity from Parabellum to crack open the back of that cocktail defense, and they are unable to do it because of a freak incident in which Fultz will be able to stay alive. It was the Hibana of Kool-Aid to do some damage after dropping from that skylight hatch, or rather sitting under skylight hatch. And now we'll try to open up some of the wall. Another kill from Fultz, this time onto Kool-Aid, the aforementioned hard breacher, who is no more. Parabellum have lost the plot on this round. Trapped inside of Cigar, and SSG is going to want to smoke them out. And that's the next step. 40 seconds to go. SSG has time working in their favor. They can just sit and wait. They've got bulletproof cameras up as well that are giving them information. Eska takes on Fultz, wins that gunfight. Down goes Wimpy, and Rampy will be the one to seal the deal. Again, no team will win back-to-back rounds. Parabellum has yet to hold a lead. They've either tied or trailed as SSG go back on top 3 rounds to 2.
Oh boy. Yeah, so every single round PB has brought something spicy, and this time, well, they brought the spice, but it was SSG who figured out what was happening. Some way, somehow, Fultz doesn't just get jump scared out of his mind and somehow misses the shot. He stays calm and collected, gets the kill into the nuke that appears right in front of him in the middle of the bomb site. And that is PB's entire scheme that round, was to get that kill, get the opening, get past the bulletproof, and then probably push onto side, start planting down diffuser, and hopefully for them play a good post plant. That means now SSG are back in the lead as we're going 1 round at a time. We're back on mining bomb site as well. We've seen the kitchen into reading into mining, kitchen into top floor into mining. So a preference for mining over reading, which in the current meta game of Rainbow Six Siege, I think makes a lot of sense. The reading bomb site, while you can play it vertically, seems to favor the attackers more because you cannot hold that top floor forever, and once you lose the vertical play on Cocktail, the attackers simply just walk on in, as we saw Parabellum do, and plant diffuser or get a bunch of kills. So with mining, as we saw when SSG played the last time, the top floor vertical blade doesn't play that big of a role in comparison, and it makes your life a little bit easier as the defenders. And now, let's take a look at Parabellum's gimmick this round, which is of course creators on the Ying. Every single round, we get something new, something spicy, as I keep saying, from Parabellum for each single individual attacking round.
Is it fair to call it, what did you call it, a gimmick?
A gimmick?
Is it fair to call it a gimmick?
Isn't a gimmick like a trick? Like that's like the thing for this round. That's like their gimmick right now. Is that the wrong usage of the word gimmick?
No, it's the correct usage.
Then in case
I think it
then it's great.
I think you're saying it derisively.
Well, okay,
I don't think you're
one-off strats.
There you go. pocket strats, as you want to call it.
We can call it too. I feel like more than the strat itself, I feel like the reason why I use the word gimmick instead of pocket strat is because I feel like the strat is simple, but they have this one operator that kind of leans in one direction. Diffuse the last round, the blitz the first round, the ying on the current round. It's not like the whole strat changes, it's just like this one operator, and here we see it.
Ooh, the hot drop, and it's immediately answered. Creators goes in, Creators goes out. Rampy hops up and gets a perfectly timed kill and finds a second for his trouble onto Eska. Parabellum will fight shadows on that top floor, and Rampy's spotted out by Penguin. So you've still got one player from Parabellum above. Foltz will look to retake. That leaves just Skies on the bomb site. This is the final defensive round for SSG. Again, no team has won rounds back-to-back. Foltz gets spotted, and he'll have to re-engage as well. Misses his shots. And he heads back downstairs. That might be the bit of action that we see for now as both teams recover, however gracefully. 1 minute to go.
Yep, that was SSG's and Folt's opportunity to strike and try and even back the score 2 for 2. But instead with that missed opportunity, it's a 3 versus 2, which still puts SSG in a great position due to all the long angles and crossfires that you have on this mining bomb site. Again, if this was a reading, I would say defenders are way worse off. But because it's mining bomb site, there's still a good chance SSG's got this in the back.
And there's a drop, but Skies doesn't hear it. A nice shot with the shotgun a second as well.
Oh, what?
He's doing a rodeo inside a train. All of a sudden, Wimpy in a 1v2, and he drops as well, and Skies clutches out with 3 kills. First team to win 2 rounds in a row is Space Station. The first half goes their way 4-2.
I don't know what he loads the shotgun with, but it's not the same bullets I have when I use that shotgun, that's for sure. Great shots. I think the community vote that we're going to be seeing soon as well was like, who's going to end up with more kills, Wimpy or Skies? And Skies with that certified gamer moment right there in the 1 versus 3 essentially kind of gives a little bit of an edge towards him. And for the first time in the entire series, a team has won 2 rounds back-to-back. That is SSG, side swap 4-2 in favor of the defenders, and now we see what Parabellum can do instead on the defensive side.
Oh. This is the first floor where we will see a kitchen defense to start off this Parabellum first half. One thing that was talked about, by the way, was the usage of tactical timeouts. The desk brought up some stats where Parabellum has only taken a single timeout thus far. This is something that was discussed either on Reddit or on Twitter. And if I remember correctly, it was Parabellum saying that because their coach, VBM, is in India, he doesn't have the same insight and availability to, or ability rather, to talk to the team that the coaches who are on stage do. So they think, on Parabellum's side of things, that calling a tactical timeout would in fact work against them because your opponents would be able to strategize and talk with their coach while you would not gain the same value.
That's a good point, actually. That's a very valid point, because when you take your timeout, yes, your opponent and their coach can also talk to one another. So it's a global timeout, if you will, but either team has one, or both teams rather have one. You could, of course, ask the question, now that, I think Jacob brought up on the desk, now that Blast is supposed to be in America very soon, but won't play for this stage, I imagine, could he be behind the bars, and maybe he could be a little bit of a coach for a few play days, you know? Because I think having the opportunity or the option of a timeout is better than none, but Skies is somehow in the middle of the map getting the opening kill onto Kool-Aid, kind of tearing apart this roam strat from PB.
A Jaeger roaming.
Small losses.
Yeah, I mean, unable to really do more than that. Kool-Aid is a talented player, but I mean, his role in particular is not as especially important. Get him up off of the ground, and there's the Jackal picked up. They didn't want to go for the recover now. It might have even made more sense to pick him up and then use the Finka boost to give more HP to the Jackal, but you never know what lies below.
Oh.
Because if there's another player for Parabellum on White Stairs, you're doomed. Now, we know there's one over by Brown Stairs. It's Penguin, who might be able to ascend, as Parabellum really want to get into fights on this second floor. They are not going with your usual committed anchor-style, turtle-style defense on the main floor.
No, and you're right. Reviving the Jacob manually there is the higher value play, but it's also riskier because you'll be in the animation of reviving. You cannot shoot back. So SSG, they gain the lead. They don't want to risk losing that again, so they use an Adrenaline Surge instead, which, yeah, sure, you get a little less value out of it, but at the same time, you got 3 of those, and with all 3 now being used, Hot and Cold is above half HP, and every single member is full. And that puts SSG in a great position for this bomb site take they'll be doing very briefly as we're in towards that stage 3 of the round. The setup and the execute. Nades, ping, jackal tracks, yellow scans, etc. all coming out, flashbangs too, and here SSG will go.
And Penguin gets flashed out. The coverage for a default plant now is in the hands of the Jackal of Hot and Cold. A sharp shot, but he gets outgunned. Oh, Penguin and Eska collide for 3 kills before Penguin gets dragged down, and the diffuser does not go down with 30 seconds left. Space Station in troubling times. They'll have to retrieve that diffuser and have someone with a little bit better coverage. Rampy testing the old reflexes. There's a Warden of Eska still in play, and Rampy gets caught in the cross. SSG in control of the back of the bomb site, but they just have no information, and now Skies gets swung on, and it's 2 angles for Parabellum that prove to be his undoing. They take their first defense and their 3rd round overall.
So we spoke in our previous game between Sonox and OXG about how clutches only really happen when the enemy makes a mistake. In that 1 versus 2, Parabellum played it beautifully, not allowing Skies to get that isolated gunfight. 1 guy swung, then he went back behind the corner, 2nd guy would swing. Skies had to do a 180-degree flick twice in that situation and hit both shots, while both members of PB would have to miss theirs. And that's going to force out the first tactical timeout of this game, and it's coming from, no surprise, SSG. Now SSG is still in the lead. It is a 4-3 scoreline, but SSG now on the side swap wants to make sure that they come in hot. They get the first couple rounds, gain momentum, build momentum, and of course, they want to end this game sooner rather than later and get as many rounds as possible for that round differential, because that's what you need for that seeding at the end of the stage.
Well, again, Parabellum doesn't take a timeout here, but we like to remind everybody that both teams are able to speak with their coaches and speak with each other during timeouts. So the fact that SSG called the timeout means that Parabellum can also settle themselves down. It's not like they have to sit there in silence.
You just have to watch the team communicate. They're like, damn, what are they talking about? We can't talk. That sucks. Oh well. I think it's worth pointing out that Kool-Aid is showing us the Warden. And we all know that SSG is a very formidable Ying team. Ying did receive a slight buff and a slight nerf in the patch that came out right before Pro League started today. Ying now has 4 Candelas. Oh, there's the Ying actually, attacker repeat from Bosco. Ying now has 4 Candelas instead of 3. However, they also blind or flash you for a shorter duration. So, more flashes, they flash for a shorter duration. Kool-Aid beautifully reading the possibility of either smokes or Yin Candelas being used from SSG. Would you look at that? The entire strat is a fast-paced rush. Amaro probably going new balcony window on the east side. Ying's from the skylight, Capitol from skylight, smokes and flashes. Kool-Aid is the only person who can see anything in this round once that happens.
He has to not die first like the previous round.
Yes.
He was hunted down upstairs. And Jaeger in German means hunter. How ironic. When that happens, or coincidental for people who are going to say, "Oh, it's not irony." Okay, we don't need to split some hairs here. Look at this call. Look at this call.
Wait for the Yin Candela to smoke, and then we go.
Wait for it. A call on up. They've got a read on the Goyo shield as well. Both of these teams liking their rush strats early on.
Oh, they lost
Sky shut down. The Lion is gone. So that's a bit of a mobilization that won't be there. But in through the window is Rampy. It's no suicide mission. He gets one, but there's another body to his left, hiding. Waiting for that call, and there it is, the Warden down as well. Candela's in, flashes out, smokes in as well. Bosco with diffuser in hand. SSG have trampled over top of Parabellum. Diffuser at the halfway point, Creators will retake. He and Penguin will need to work side by side to do this, but they've been boxed out of the bomb site. Penguin inside of the back bar, but he can't do much. He sees that long angle, it allows Creators to swing up. It's another kill for Penguin. This time on the Rampy, Creators gets one, but Bosco shuts him down. Penguin in a 1v2. Diffuser down. He knows where the positional one is, but the skylight is Hot and Cold's domain, and it's a perfect line of sight for Space Station to collect round number 5.
That was a 4 versus 5, and SSG even lost guys on the line. One of the 4 really important operators for that round, But it didn't matter. It looked flawless regardless because, well, Eska, he was sprinting. Couldn't shoot back when Rambi came in through that window. Rambi opened up the round, got control. Bosco with the fuser delivery, with the Candelas, covered by the Capital Smoke, the Capital Fire as well, limiting Parabellum's movement. A beautifully played, beautifully read round from SSG. They set up this rush strategy, and sure, Kool-Aid, he got the Warden, but the Warden had no value in that round for the strategy because Rambi's injury just got the kills. And there is the vote, there is the poll. Who will get more kills today, Skies or Wimpy? Let's take a look, Parker. Who has more kills?
Skies has more kills, and 62% of you said that Skies was the one to do it, so you're right on the money. Inconsistency from Wimpy has been an undoing of a very talented player. I know I talked about this before on this broadcast, but Wimpy was a very highly touted Challenger League player and got some praise for some pro players at the time asking when would Wimpy be given a chance. It's now come to light from the talks of certain players on social media that he didn't always fare the best in tryouts. Maybe he got the shakes, maybe he just wasn't a good fit for the team, who knows? But Wimpy has had some standout performances. Today seems unlikely that we're going to see that from him. 2-8 overall, and that is that inconsistency that was talked about from the desk. So Wimpy's going to play on a more sheltered role now on Smoke, ideally staying alive to the bitter end.
Before this Playday that we see right here, Wimpy, I believe, was the highest rated player for Parabellum, being +4, I believe. So he was in a good position until today, and everyone has good and bad games, and Kafe as well, not necessarily a map where every single position gets to shine, because some of these positions are just sacrificial positions, right? For example, Creators inside Piano and Cigar, he's not supposed to survive for very long, and he's trying his damn best, but time is ticking down. Lion Scan comes out, window repel drone at your feet, and people on the red hats just about to swing, and the fire gets popped from the Twitch drone, and you are done and dusted.
There was a lot that was thrown at Creators there, but hey, he baited out so much utility. Managed to take out the Goyo shield while the Twitch did, but I mean, it blew up for him. The Lion drone won as well, and there was a couple players from SSG who haven't really lost all that much. As you can see, Rampy's taken some damage, but that's it. There's been an adrenal surge that's gone off, so it can obviously cover up some of the hits that SSG had taken. Halfway point in this round. It's round number 9, which means that a match point situation exists for SSG if they prove to be successful here. They took a timeout in round number 7. It netted them a direct win in round 8. Will that good juju carry over?
Twitch drone doing so much work this round, popping those Goyo canisters, making sure that when the timer gets low, those fires won't stop SSG from executing. And Hot and Cold, once again on the Skynet, has those smoke grenades in his pocket. Can be used to set up the push with Rambi, gets a nade kill onto Kool-Aid. Lion EE1D comes up, but nothing really happens. We're still standing and waiting. SSG got tools to work with, time to work with, and right now PP has to make all the moves in the stands because they are in the back end of it.
SSG has to know that one of the players from Parabellum is currently inside a bathroom because they haven't done enough work to really focus on it. Nice nade goes over. As Heska had taken out Hot and Cold, Penguin also falls, so both teams lose 1. But in terms of numbers, it's Space Station to exist in a better predicament. It gets even better as Wimpy takes down 1, but then immediately gets ended, and it's match point for Space Station. Parabellum doing something they've only done 1 time so far, and that's take a tactical timeout.
All right, so PB, this is a rare sight, ladies and gents. They are taking a timeout. And again, it's going to be Penguin, most likely seen on the camera right now, who's going to be doing most of the talking. He is the brains behind the operation, if you will, while also playing an entry role for his team too. He's the one flexing the nuke, the one going across the map, doing stuff on his own, but also when needed, plays Diana, goes in the fray, and gets kills. A very different way of playing the... I guess he plays like the support role, but he really doesn't, so he has a very different approach to that role. And then Parabellum as a team uses that to great effort. Right now against SSG having a hard time to continue finding openings. Their gimmicks have stopped working, Parker, if you will. And once those run out, well, PP are outmatched 1-1 against SSG.
I think it is worth noting that this Parabellum roster that was so highly touted through their entire run in Challenger League, this was the same team, even though they have some different parts, that made it to the 6 Invitational in 2021, as people will recall. They are adjusting to picking up both Wimpy and Creators while awaiting Blaz's arrival to this team. So this is not their final form, if I can employ that line. So they're working through it.
They are.
And it's the same with Mirage. Mirage came in and obviously losing Razor today, possibly being out for the remainder of the stage or longer, we don't know. It's tough for teams to try and adjust when being given very little time to acclimate and when surprises pop up, which I think is fair to say is the case for Parabellum. I think they had great intentions of getting Blaz over here.
Yep.
Didn't work out, so what do? Well, you reach for Wimpy, you bring him up to this level. You basically throw him into the fire, you give him 7 play days to try and adjust. And oh, also, by the way, you're the first one to get cut if Blaz ends up playing. And it takes a certain player to understand that. I think it takes a certain player to approach it like, I'm essentially here for a short time.
Yeah.
I want to make a name for myself because maybe not in today's match, but the way that he's played in a number of other matches, Wimpy has absolutely, I think, shown off to teams that he would be an upgrade over certain players on certain other NAL teams. And whether or not they will give him a chance, that remains to be seen. But kudos to Parabellum for putting up a fight despite this, despite these roster changes that they ended up with and the visa issues that have plagued Blaz.
Yeah.
I don't think they've achieved the same success that we thought for them, but that's okay because we've had some surprises like Beast Coast and Astralis.
We have. It's been a very, very competitive stage 1 of NEL so far, and everyone's power rankings are down the drain. Things happen that nobody predicted, nobody would have seen.
Ooh.
Nice shot from Fultz SSG, maintaining momentum and keep building more.
Well, Fultz had a bit of a even first half after that puzzling engagement that you remember with the Nook, but since then he has been absolutely firing on all cylinders. And ADS will eat his nade, but that could have been a 2-piece, as there were 2 players from Parabellum at the top of White Stairs where that nade was intended. One has fallen off, that leaves Creators to hold down the fort. There's a deployable shield up there as well.
Hot and Cold is still in the basement, by the way. He's just sitting there.
You mean the first floor, I understand.
So, god damn it, I did it, yeah.
This is a reading...
Man, it is a reading bomb.
This is a reading defense, despite the fact that there is a player in the basement and players on the top floor, which is the roof, by the way.
Okay, okay. I get it now.
3rd floor's a roof.
Might pay off. Person dropped the hatch. Downstairs here. Hot and Cold sees it. Silencer in hand. Nate.
They know that he's there,
And
though.
that's it.
Wimpy is
Wait, oh
wise
my
to his
God.
parlor tricks. Almost re-engages into that cook nade, but it goes off a little bit early on. Kool-Aid to the rescue as well. Bottom of White Stairs. That's 2 players from Parabellum that are within short range of each other. You don't want to spend too much time down there because, as we stated, this is a reading defense.
It's going to be hard here for SSG. The walls haven't been breached. ADS haven't been cleared. Jammer is still there. Kool-Aid finds Fultz, and that's going to slow them down a bit. Adreno Surge is gone, but right before he fell, he did pop it. This nade will try and clear the Jammer, but what we know that they don't, there's an ADS. If no ADS clear comes over, that's going to punish you because that was your last grenade. No way in but the door with 20 seconds left.
Bit of a wrong time here now as the flash goes in next, and it'll blind the Kaid fully. Creators takes down Rampy, and the 2 players from Parabellum trying to hold off on reading will do their damnedest. There's a Razor Bloom to take down Hot and Cold. Only 2 players remaining for Space Station, one of which has been downed, and it's a mercy killing on the final player of SSG. Parabellum, after taking that timeout, they net their 4th round, and things tighten up. SSG still on match point, though, still potentially 3 minutes away from a big victory as they look to improve their chances of making it to Charlotte.
Absolutely. And what really pains me there is SSG is known to be a strategical, smart, consistent team, and it's such a minor detail that really made the round difficult for them. They had 4 flashbangs inside of Pillar. They also only had 1 grenade. If you have 4 flashbangs, only 1 grenade, surely you do not throw the nade in first to try and kill the mute jammer. Surely you would throw a flashbang to check for the ADS and then the grenade to go afterwards. Now that can be multiple issues. It can be the nade player going too fast, and the flashbang player not saying he's not ready. It can be so many different things. But that small tiny detail, which is easily overlooked, it cost them the round, or at least it made it much more difficult for SSG to put themselves in the best position possible for the execute. And Parabellum, they reap the benefits. 6-4 back in kitchen. Last time this happened. Sorry, I got Parker making like weird, like, I don't know, postures next to me.
I was
What are
being,
you doing?
It was an exorcism, actually.
It was an exorcism?
Getting the SSG Parabellum demons out
Okay.
of my...
Couldn't tell what was going on. I heard noises, and then I saw you doing things, and I was like, oh, what's happening here?
Well, you persevere. Can you go through it? This is a kitchen defense now. The potential final ride for Parabellum. Parabellum. If they lose this matchup, their dreams of making it to the major are effectively over. Now, by my count, it depends on how the tiebreaker works with Beast Coast, because they will be 6 points back at Beast Coast after this matchup.
Okay.
And Beast Coast is currently sitting in 4th place. It might not effectively or might not mathematically eliminate them, but will effectively eliminate them.
That's
it
fair.
will make it a freak scenario. Once again, this is something that we need confirmation from the admins on, but we can talk to you about storylines. For a win here, Space Station would vault up to 14 points. That would be good enough for 4th. So they would be fighting with Beast Coast for that very final spot. 1 minute off of the clock. And the first, the first bit of action, only doing some damage to Bosco. There's Wimpy to take a whole lot of HP gone, and Eska falls. Space Station gets the opening pick, and Wimpy is not too far off of the grave himself.
Nope.
There he goes.
He follows
Well, that's
Troop.
creators, actually, not even Wimpy. So they're just tearing through them, but Penguin gets very aggressive. Down goes Fultz. A good answer back by PB. An Adrenal Surge had gone out before Fultz died, instinctively hitting the mark. There's a gridlock in play as well. 1 smoke to go, as well as the tracks. Selmas will open up the panel inside of Small Bakery. Kool-Aid doesn't want to fight it, so he heads back in the kitchen. 1 minute to go in the round.
They're going to get choked out here. No resources really from side of PB. I mean, Echo's alive, there are yokais, but I suppose too soon. Echo's dead. There are no yokais anymore really to be used in effect. It's Kool-Aid and Wimpy being so low on health in a 2v4 with a minute to go in SSG. They're so disciplined. They got the lockdown, they got the crossfire. They're trying to find this kill. And soon Kool-Aid will fall. Both also low on health, Parker. I think the end is near.
Yeah, this is not going well. There's a nade on the Kool-Aid, and Wimpy will fight for his life. In a 1v4, he sees the gridlock, but the SMG cannot be controlled. SSG needs a single kill. That's it. And it's the substitute for Parabellum. No substitute for teamwork there. SSG takes round number 11. And they win 7-4. 3 huge points for them as they march towards the major.
Looking a bit better there for SSG in the last half. The first half looked not shaky necessarily, but we didn't see that momentum that HSG loves to build. Their problem-solving skills got a lot better as time progressed as well, and they started getting more aggressive, playing together, and actually winning those engagements, whereas in the very beginning, they were falling back immediately when a threat was nearby. So good adaptation. I would almost say since the timeout, SSG looked a lot more like themselves in full control than before.
Oh, indisputably. They settled themselves down, and it was a close affair going back and forth. But round 6, that was the pivotal round. Space Station won their second in a row and then carried that momentum forward, allowing Parabellum only 2 more rounds of the next 6 rounds played. For a younger team like Parabellum, and I think this goes for teams like Beast Coast, Mirage, even XSET, some of those teams have seen more success than the others. But for a team like Parabellum, I think this is a perfect opportunity to learn. And that's really what it comes down to. Parabellum need to learn as a team, to learn all maps, to learn how attacker repick affects them. And I think against some of the competition that is here in the NAL, they are absolutely learning. And while it might not be the results that they wanted, Parabellum still remain a team that can be very competitive against some of the top teams. But that's it for our matches today. We've still got an interview and then the desk to break things down. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Down, levitate. Going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate. On time, never late. I grind, celebrate. No pump fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day. Champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box now. Stepping up to home. Like straight out the sandlot. Now I'm plotting on the globe.
I'm 6 foot, but with the money stabbing, I'm 10-2. Too much that I've been through, so I put it all in that rear view. Clean money in a black whip. Got old problems with the friends new. Yeah, I'm in the big leagues. Told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, told him I'ma hit it out the stands. I deserve another 100 bands. I deserve another 100 fans. Told him this was always in the plans. I just did it cause they said I can. Blowing euros when I'm down in France. Labels asking how I build a brand. Told him put a check up in my hands. Boy got time, no cap. Made a few checks, but they all in the raps. Had a few friends, but they suck in the past. I don't even trip when I'm thinking about that. Hopped in the whip and we all in black. Shawty wanna ride till I hop in the back. 0 to 100, seen a rap on the dash. They ain't catching up, dog, I'm moving too fast. I'm in the big leagues. Told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in a big league.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it.
I had to switch up the flow, show you the way that it go. God is good, but his life is hard. But it gets better when you grind it small. I'm just really trying to leave a mark. We tired of being who they say we are. That's the baton, we gon' take it far.
Always been real, we don't fake it all.
Tired of 9 to 5, just make enough to survive. Only living on the weekends. You really thinking that's why I'm alive? Busting out the scenes, time to live my dreams, do the things deep inside of me. This life it continues when fighting me, but I don't have quitting inside of me. I will not jump in these vices they throwing me. Talking to God and there's so much he's showing me, shaping me, growing me, taking me sowing seeds. A growing tree, y'all get a load of me. Yeah, don't let them slow on me. I get the bag like a grocery. I'm on my grind like I'm supposed to be, and I do not care if you notice me.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it.
This isn't a robbery. Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. This type of flow make a living break. Confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless, I ain't with the games, bitch, you with the chest. Be beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it. Quitting was never an option. And you cannot stop it, nah, you cannot stop it.
One last time here back at the desk for the first day of the week here at the Rainbow Six North American League. Doa, Jesse, Jacob again once more with you to break down our final match of the day. It was Spacestation Gaming getting the win over Parabellum, and we have none other than Skies on the line with us over in Vegas. Skies, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right, great. Welcome to the show. Congrats on the win today. Now, I want to reverse it a little bit. Go back to last week. You got an MVP last week for one of the days, and I'm curious, like over there for the players, like how much does winning the day MVP really mean? Do you kind of take it in stride, or is it kind of a big deal?
I mean, I think it's just kind of take in stride type of thing. Like, it's cool to get, but I honestly don't think it has that much meaning, to be honest.
So why is that? Do you feel like you legitimately played better than most other players last week, or do you feel like people saw something about your play that they didn't notice with other plays that were maybe there?
I mean, I just think it's one of those things. It's like a participation award, to be honest. Like, if you're winning, like, that's all that matters.
All right.
Like, at the end of the day, it's like unless you're going like 20 kills or something, like, you're just doing your job, and I just happen to do my job well, and we won the game. So I feel like it's kind of more like a
true
MVP
team
type
player. I appreciate it.
Well, it was a good game today as well as previous, and I want to talk about the map choice a little bit. You guys go back to Kafe, and this is a map that you guys had played recently, but also Parabellum had just played it against Oxygen. When we interviewed OXG after that game, they called Parabellum's setups kind of gimmicky. They adapted to them pretty well, and then you guys came through and you really destroyed them on their defenses. Did you notice that same kind of gimmicky play when you were VOD reviewing them against Oxygen, and is that a big reason why you chose to come back to this map?
Yeah, so one of the biggest reasons we did is exactly like you said, was VOD review. We knew that they're just like their playstyle in general is kind of like super aggressive and playmakey, and they have a problem of like doing it like on their own, which happens a lot. And I think that's honestly some of the reasons why we won today. There's just people doing things individually and not trying to work with a teammate to make a play. So we just kind of took advantage of that, and we ended up winning the gunfights, and that's just something that they have to learn from.
I know we talked about Spacestation being a really good team with pocket strats, and back when Hot and Cold joined the team, he said that was something that they had worked on a lot. You know, but for stage 2 of last year, we saw that time and time again. Was that a Maru play back at round 8 also one of those pocket strats? And how easy is that kind of thing to do now that attacker repicks in the game?
Yeah, so that's something we made up on the fly when we were doing some VOD review, where like we could rush these guys based on how their setup is, and you know, it didn't go as well as we wanted to. We did win the round, but it was a little sloppier than it needed to be, and that was kind of my fault. But it's one of those things where attacker repick, you can literally bring whatever you want. So I think it makes attacks in general much easier, and I think it's, you know, still something defense has to figure out, but it's definitely overpowered for attack, in my opinion.
So one final question before we let you go here. Now, regardless of your opponent being a higher ranked team in the league or a lower ranked team in the league right now, you tend to play them kind of close. The rounds end up kind of being fairly close overall. Why do you think that is, that you end up playing so many teams so close?
I think a big part of that is just kind of like the role change. You know, we're still figuring things out. You know, Bosco's learning to IGL more, so it's like as games go on, you're going to progress. And you know, some games, you just don't have an answer, and other times you do. So it's just, you know, it's our job to push through that and, you know, get as best as we can in the long term. So it is what it is. You know, we all make mistakes, and you know, I made some today and almost cost some rounds, and it's a team game. So.
All right, well, a team game, a team effort, and a win today for Space Station, so the team's doing well. Good luck with your match tomorrow. Good luck with getting that top 4, and maybe we'll see you again soon.
Hopefully.
All right, thanks for stopping by. That was Skies from Space Station Gaming getting that win over Parabellum, and that does mean, I believe, that Parabellum is eliminated now from the chance to get to the major.
Yep.
A decent start for them overall. Not the result probably that they were looking for, but for a team coming in, kind of trying to make waves here in NAL, you know, it could have been worse. It wasn't a bad effort, I feel like.
Certainly not. I think that like Parabellum played pretty solidly over these last couple of play days, actually.
Yeah.
It's not even just today. I think last week they actually really surprised me as well in some of their games. So, you know, tough opponents for sure here in these last couple days of the NAL. But Parabellum have their moments. I thought their pushes were going really, really solidly. Penguin was somebody that super impressed me throughout that first half especially, and he did kind of fall off a little bit. There he is, top of the scoreboard for his team, 11-11. But he was having a huge impact, right? Playing on that kind of flank watch role, being able to clear those top couple of floors, allow his his top-down players like Eska and Kool-Aid to do their work. So that was nice to see from him. Ultimately, though, it is the victors up on the top there. Rampy 15-7, 91 cost, probably the bigger number there. It means he's having an impact in every single round except one in that game.
I think for Parabellum, we're kind of getting off the wimpy Kool-Aid, so to speak, which is funny because Kool-Aid is on the same team. But he had those really good games, especially on Rome. And I think that Dark Zero game on Velo was one where we were like, man, he is slaughtering these guys. And in the past couple of days, past few weeks, it's died down. Not the worst thing in the world because Wimpy had only temp expectations on his shoulders. I think the best part about this is that Creators has slotted in pretty well because no one on that XSET roster really looked that good aside from Razor, and Creators was kind of always relegated to like second tier. Does he have confidence? He's got a lot more of that now. He's fulfilling the role that he's meant to. It feels like Parabellum can really be a good new home for him. So I'm not concerned about this Parabellum roster overall. I do want to see what Blaz does now that he comes into the league, because I think the question of the long-term commitment towards a different player is really going to help this Parabellum roster go far. Right. Not saying Wimpy's having a bad stage at all. He's still doing better than most people would be able to say they ever would if they made their way to a tier 1 league. But for right now, for this PB team, don't worry about not making it to Charlotte. It just means if you're going, you just got to, buy your own ticket to get there.
Yeah, and still 2 more maps to play too, to kind of like show people what they can do. So it's not, the stage isn't over yet. Even though you're not going to the major, you still have a chance to get in a bit of practice and kind of put on a little bit of a show.